Okay, today's topic is going to be on mean, median, and mode and dot plots. So go ahead and take a minute. You can go ahead and pause the video and jot everything down. I'm gonna assume you already did that. We're just gonna get started. It says in mathematics there are three main measures of averages. Okay, so these three are the different types of averages that we have in mathematics. Usually, when anyone says an average, they usually mean the mean. But again, there's two more over. They're all ways of finding like the middle or the central measure of tendency. But let's get into each one, right? So the one that most people would refer to as the average is when they say that they actually mean the mean. The mean can be found by adding all the numbers in a list and dividing it by the number of numbers. There's a formula to find the mean. You take your first number, add it to the second number, add it to the third number, add it to the fourth number. You keep adding all the numbers until you get your nth number. And then at the very end, you divide it by the number of numbers, which in this case would be n. So the formula is add up all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. I like to remind students that the mean one is literally the mean one. So I'm going to draw like a little mean face here. It's the one that makes you do like all this work. Okay, students, yeah, they'll especially today you're going to see it. And you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do it. Just not that it's hard. It's just it takes a little bit of extra effort when you're doing the mean. Let's look at the next one. The median is the middle number of a list when it is in order. If there's two middle numbers, then you got to take the mean of those two, and we'll show you what that means. So let's see. For this one, I want you to focus on median is the middle number, and if you're talking about the middle number, it has to be in order. Okay, so those are the key words there. And then the last one, the mode. The mode is the number that occurs the most in a list. That one's the easiest one to do easily. The only thing with the mode is if there's not a number that repeats, if all the numbers are different, then we say that there is no mode. Or if you have two numbers that occur the most, like there's like you got like five fives and you have five eights, and those are the numbers that occur the most, then you might have more than one mode. You might have a couple or even three or four or whatnot. And we'll see an example of that as we move along. Okay, so again, I'm just going to assume that you already copied this down, right? If you haven't, go ahead and press pause on the video, and we're going to go ahead and run on the first example. It says the dot plot below shows the number of siblings of a group of students has. I'm sorry, the number of siblings a group of students has. So we're going to find out how many had six siblings, how many had no siblings, how many had three or more siblings, what's the mean, what's the median, what's the mode. It's important that when you're reading this, you realize that each one of these dots is like a student in your class, right? So, like, let's say this person right here, he has zero siblings, all right? There's this other person right here. This person also has zero siblings. And then this final person right here also has zero siblings. So there's three people in the classroom that don't have any brothers or sisters. Then when I look at this person has one brother or one sister, and so does this person and this person. This person way out here has six brothers and sisters. Okay, so each one of these dots represents somebody in the classroom. And for example, this one will tell me how many brothers and sisters that person has. So let's see. Let's answer the first question. How many students had six siblings? Well, there's only one person out here that has six siblings, so we're going to write the number six. So, what? We haven't write the number one. There's only one person that has six siblings. How many people have no siblings? Let me highlight this one just because it'll be easier to see. These are the people who have no siblings, and it looks like there's three of them. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight just so it's easier to come back and see that there are three people in that zero column that have no siblings. Okay, here's a more challenging one. How many had three or more siblings? So these guys do not have three or more. These guys don't have three or more. These guys only have two, so that's not three or more. These guys, they all have three, and three does count as three or more. So I do want to include these. The people who have four siblings, I also want to include them. And this person over here who has six siblings, I want to include them as well. So when we start looking at the number of people who have three or more siblings, that would be all these guys right here. So we just got to count this up. and see what that is. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 different students have 3 or more siblings in this classroom. All right, so we got the easy questions out of the way. Let's do the harder ones. They're not difficult. It's just they're gonna involve a little bit more work, I believe. What is the mean? Now, in order for me to find the mean, I need to add up all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. The problem with a dot plot is there's really no numbers written down, right? So I need to write down all the numbers. This represents a number. Now, I know some of you guys are going to want to write 3, but no, remember this person has 0 siblings, so I have a 0. You're going to need a lot of space here, guys. So give yourself, write a little bit small. So I'm going to write a 0. So that takes care of this dot, but then this is also another 0, and then I have another 0 still. So it's going to be a 0 plus 0 plus 0. And that takes care of the zeros. Now I'm going to go in order. The next one are the ones, and it looks like I have a 1, a 1, and a 1. So I got 3 ones. So plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. That takes care of my ones. I also have a 2, a 2, and a 2. So plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. And then I have a bunch of 3s. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these 3s. So I got to write that 6. I'm sorry, I got to write that 3 6 different times. So it's going to be plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. I believe that's 6 3s. Great. And then I have 4 4s. So plus a 4, plus a 4, plus a 4, plus a 4. I don't have any 5s, but I do have a 6. Those are all the numbers I need to add up. And now I just need to take this into my calculator, add them all up, and at the very end, divide by the number of numbers. It looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, I did have someone in my class ask, like, do I need to add those zeros? Absolutely. And the only reason I'm saying yes is because if you did not, then it would only look like you have 17 numbers, but there's 20 students in this class. There's 20 dots. So I would add in the zeros just so you know that we need to divide by 20 at the very end and you don't get it confused. Okay. So let me go ahead and take a minute and add those numbers up. So on my calculator, when I added all those numbers up on the top, I got 49. Hit enter, right? And then once you get that 49, we're going to divide it by 20. And my final answer is going to be 2.45. So 2.45 is my mean score. Again, the mean is the ugly one. It's the one that's going to make you do a ton of work. Okay. As far as the median is concerned, the median is going to be the middle number. Now, a couple of things on the median. When I say the middle number, you're going to have to go like left, right, left, right, left, right. And you're going to keep doing this until you get to the middle. Now, here's a trick because some students will mess this up. They'll keep going left, right, left, right, left, right, and they'll start going like left, right, like left, 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 right, 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 and then they might do some weird stuff. I would not suggest doing that. I'd go left, right, left, right, left, right. Make sure that you know how many middle numbers you're going to get. If it's an even number, you should get 2 middle numbers. If it's an odd number, you're only going to have 1 number in the middle. Okay, so this is an even number. That means I better have 2 numbers in the middle. So again, I'm going to go left, right, left, right, left, right. And we're just working our way to the middle until, because it's even, I know I'm going to end up with 2 middle numbers. These are the 2 middle numbers I'm talking about, the 3 and the 3. The only reason I can do this is because the numbers are in order, okay? So the 3 and the 3 are the 2 middle numbers. Let me go ahead and take in a highlighter just so I can kind of see where these numbers are coming from. I believe we said it was these 2, right? So I'm going to take that 3 plus and find the mean of those 2 numbers. So I'm going to go 3 plus 3 and divide it by 2. We're basically finding what's in the middle of 3 and 3. Well, there is no number in the middle of 3 and 3. That's why when you add these up, you get 6 divided by 2. So the middle number between 3 and 3 is obviously going to be 3. My median is 3, and I got it by using this formula here. Now, someone asked me in my class earlier today, too, is like, why are you dividing by 2? Well, because, again, how many numbers were in the middle? 2. And so I'm going to add up all the numbers. There's only two numbers and divide by the number of numbers. Well, there's two numbers that I'm adding up. That's why I'm dividing by two. Okay. And then the last one, the mode, that's the easiest one. The mode is the number that occurs the most. And in this case, the number that occurred the most was right here. That number would be the number 3. Okay, we're down to our last example. This is going to finish out our notes. It says a company records the amount of sugar in each of their ice cream flavors. The data is 12, 14, 8, 13, 12, and you see the rest of the numbers. And you construct a dot plot. How many flavors had less than 12 grams? What is the mean? What is the median? What is the mode? Okay, important that we understand what these numbers represent. So when I see this 12 right here, what does that 12 represent? That represents an ice cream flavor. I don't know which one. Let's pretend it's vanilla, okay? This vanilla ice cream flavor has 12 grams of sugar in it, okay? Here's another ice cream flavor. I don't know what it is. I'm going to pretend it's chocolate. This chocolate ice cream flavor has 14 grams of sugar in it. And this third ice cream flavor, we'll call it sherbet, that has 8 grams of sugar in it. So these are all representing different ice cream flavors with different amounts of grams of sugar, okay? I need to construct a dot plot. Again, as I mentioned earlier, everything is so much easier if you just write these numbers in order first. So let me go ahead and start writing these numbers in order. I'm going to pick the smallest number out there, which in this case is 5. So let me go ahead and write down a small 5. Try to make this small because you're going to need a lot of space, guys. And since I used a 5, I'm going to cross it out. What's the next smallest number I have on my list? A lot of students would say 8, but that is incorrect because there's another 5 over here. I'm going to cross out that 5 and I'm going to write it on my list. Okay, now the next smallest number that I see on the list is 8. I'm going to cross it out and write it. And it just so happens that I see another 8. So I get to cross it out and write it. All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster because hopefully you get the gist. Let's see, this next smallest number on the list, I believe, is 9. And I only see one of those 9s. After the 9, it looks like 12 is the next smallest number. So let me go ahead and cross out that 12. And I see another 12, so I'm going to write it down twice. And that's it for the 12s. Next are the 13s, and I see a 13 and another 13, so I get to write down the 13 2 times. The next smallest number is 14, but there's 3 of those, so 1, 2, 3 14s. And then lastly, there's 15s, and I see 3 of them, so 1, 2, 3. So there's my list written down in order. Now that I have it in order, I'm going to go ahead and create a dot plot, okay? In order to create the dot plot, I'm going to construct the number line. Now, the nice thing about writing stuff in order is you should know where your number line needs to start. Like the smallest number I have on my number line is 5. Now, again, the next thing that students would want to do is maybe write the number 8 because that's the next number that they see on the list. But we're going to treat this as a number line. So it's not going to be 8, it's actually going to be 6. Okay, so we're going to write 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I need to go all the way up to 15. So 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, so now that I have my number line set up, I can go ahead and start making my dots. How many 5s do I have? I have 2 5s right here, so I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 dots on top of the 5. There are no 6s, so I'm not going to put any dots on the 6. There are no 7s. There are 2 8s, so I'm going to put 2 dots. There is a 9. There are 2 12s, so dot and dot on 12. There are 2 13s, so dot and dot on the 13. There are 3 14s, so I'm going to put 3 dots on the 14, and then there are 3 15s, so 3 dots on the 15. And it looks like my dot plot is done. So number 1 is set. Number 2, how many flavors had less than 12 grams? Well, remember that this ice cream, I don't know what flavor it is, but I know that it had 5 grams. So these 2 ice creams have less than 12 grams. I'm going to count those. So do these two. Those have 8 grams. This has 9 grams. So all of these count as ice creams that are less than 12 grams. What about this one? These two ice creams right here. Um, these ice creams have 12 grams, but 12 grams is not less than 12. I can only pick the numbers that are less than 12, so I do not get to include these ones. And 13 is more than 12, so definitely not 13 or 14 or 15. So I'm not going to include these. I'm only going to be looking at this. So let me go ahead and take my highlighter so that way later on you know exactly what I was talking about. I'm only going to include these numbers right here. So how many ice creams was that? That was 5 different ice cream flavors that were less than 12 grams of sugar. All right, now that I have that, let's go ahead and find the mean. Remember, to find the mean, that's the mean one. That's the one that's going to make you do all the work. I'm going to have to add up all of these numbers and then divide by the number of numbers. So I'm going to write it out. This is 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9 plus 12 plus 12 plus 13 plus 13. And then there's 3 14s and there's 3 15s. Divided by how many numbers are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So let me go ahead and add up these numbers. Give me 1 second while I figure this out. Okay, when I added all those numbers on the top, I got 172. Then I'm going to go ahead and take it out to 172 and divide it by 15. And when I ended up was an ugly decimal. It was 11.466666666667. That's just your calculator giving up at the end and saying, forget all these sixes, I'm going to round up to 7. But really, it's 11.46666666 going on forever. So this is going to be 11.46 with a line on top. And again, that's just your calculator giving up at the end. It's really not a 7. It just rounds up to a 7. So I found the mean. It's 11.46 with a line on top of the 6. All right, median is the number in the middle. Now, remember what I said earlier. If there's an odd number of numbers, there's only one number in the middle. If there's an even number of numbers, you're going to have two numbers in the middle. So let's see. If I go left, right, left, right, left, right, remember, this is already in order. That's why we did this, is to cut down on the work. And if I start working my way towards the middle, then it's going to be, let's see, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm going to keep going left, right, left, right, left, right. And notice that and I only have one number in the middle. It's going to be this 13. So let me go ahead and circle it. That way you know where that 13 is coming from. That is the number in the middle. It's just the 13. I don't have to take the mean of the two middle numbers because there's only one middle number. All right, and last thing is, what is the mode? Let's see. As far as the number that occurred the most, there are two numbers that occurred the most. 14 occurred 3 times, 15 occurred 3 times, so I'm going to write that the modes are 14 and 15. All right, that's all the notes I have for today. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.